Bob Huber, Vintage Lambo. Let's talk about right front hub on the 350. On this, I'm going to go through maybe a little more detail than the one before, because I think it's kind of important as we get into this that you need to make some tools. Now, this is my opinion on this. Of course, you can't look at the manual because there is no manual. So what we're going to do is we're going to think about it and see how am I going to be able to take bearings out, install bearings and the parts. How can I do this without any damage occurring? So I've come up with basically here 5 tools that you can see here. This is going to go on here so that we can, you see these. So when it goes on here, this is going to hook in there, and then we can install it with this. The factory pieces, although yes, there's factory tools, but boy, they don't really want to work that well. So I sort of came up with making this socket, converting it over to do this. Okay, let's talk about steering arms. Left and right, they look the same, right? They are practically the same. So we're doing right side here. So with the right side, you have a pin here, and this is going to fit in here. Now I'm going to be putting some anti-seize in this area in there, so if it ever has to come apart, it's going to be a little bit easier for everyone. Now with this installed, and the caliper goes behind and steering arm in front, right side again, and we have a taper here, and the taper, the larger hole is on the top because it goes from the top down as far as installing the tie rod in. But if we look at the other one here, and it looks the same, but if it was installed, this is the small hole. So you can see when on the driver's side we have the larger of the taper hole on the top. So just to avoid aggravation, just saying that little tidbit, I'm sure you're probably going to see it. The bolts that hold it on, and you have these little fold overs to lock in these. Two different sizes, because you can see this is in a bit, this is out a bit, so we need a longer one on that side. The bearing, previous video, I was able to get this one bearing to clean up and do really well. The other side not so, but we're going to be doing the right side right now. We'll do the left side at a later date. I can get an SKF, good quality bearing for the outer, so we're going to do that. We're just going to change the bearing out instead of using the old one. Again, these tools will help us. This I multi-purpose this one. It's going to be used a couple times. All right, so 5 tools that I made up. If I need anything else as I'm going through, I'm going, oh yeah, I also need this, and I'll bring that up. This collar, you can see where the set screw goes into this hole to make sure that this never moves out. And believe me, it'll never move out, because people have gone ahead and tried to take these out and not seen this screw. They're like taking apart ugly parts, and they don't see that this set screw that fits right in this hole here, when it's in, it's pretty much flush, and with all the grease, you don't really see it. Again, manuals aren't available. You just have to sort of think about what you're doing. And somehow, who knows how, but these threads can get a little bit banged up or what have you. So you need to just put it in, see if it's going to screw in right. And if you have any hang-ups, then you got to find out what's hanging it up, because this is really kind of just barely you get it on. You see this mark is going to line up with this mark right here. And so when it goes in, this also goes in a little bit under. You want to make sure that when you make your tool that you give a little bit of relief, you got to make sure that everything is going to be the way you want it to be. Okay, enough said. Let's get on with it. Okay, getting everything cleaned up. This is the right side where you put the wheel bearing in here. And this is always a bit of a task to put this on and get this to sit in. So right now I'm just working on, maybe I can get some light on this. Right in here, that's where, you know, you put in the Allen screw, grub screw to lock it in place, make sure it doesn't move. But it's hitting it here. So something's with the thread in here. I think this has probably been distorted somewhat because of the grub screw. So I'm going to go in with the file and clean that up. I need this to really screw in pretty flawless because it's just pretty critical. So what I'm going to do is all the threads that go into here, I'm going to just do a little bit of filing right inside here just to smooth that out. All right, so let's take a quick look here. I just did a little cleanup on these threads. Now, this is going to need to come up this all the way up to here, and right now it's kind of grabbing. So I need to find out what could be causing any of the problems. Something up in here. So we'll take a look. I'll look inside also the hub, see if I find anything there. Okay, clean things up. Seems to go in okay. I've done this without any lubricant, and now I just use WD-40 just to do kind of a cleanup on the threads with some cotton cloth. I did get a little bit, you know, there's always some residual of whatnot on it, but anyway. So both of these have been cleaned up with that. And then I'm going to get this to line up with the, okay, it needs to go one more. Where is the, oh, it's right here. Okay, so that notch lines up right here with that notch, and so then the grub screw can go inside there. So now I have this as free as I can make it. So now it's just all about getting the bearing in. Now this side, I was able to save the bearing. I mean, I'm just saying I was able to clean it up sufficient for the bearing to be saved. So I am going to reuse this bearing, this original bearing, but the other side just didn't make it. I was able to order, pretty rare, but I found it in France. So I have a bearing coming over here so that I can then do the left side, finish that up. But we'll do this side first, and then as soon as that other bearing comes in, I'll be ready to get that together. All right, so we'll start getting back at putting the bearings together. All right, going to make a tool to press a seal in. So essentially I've done some preliminary here that you don't really need to see. So anyway, so it's all set up, and now I'm going to do cuts so that I can put the seal in, and so I don't have any distortion on the seal. All right, so let's just take a look. This is the collar of the front hub. So we need to put this seal inside here, but we really have to be able to have a good surface onto here with this piece so that when we go down, we're not going to distort it. I'm going to have a centering piece in here so everything's centered on here to here, and then we'll go ahead, press it down in. So I need to cut this so that I just fit it through here, because you put in this size of a seal, but it's a 0.5 millimeter, a little bit more. So you see how it has a little, see that piece there? The seal sits here, so we have to press it past this into here. So I can't have this larger than this. So it's going to be a little bit smaller so that when we press it in, we press it all the way to the bottom. You know, it can happen that it just gets pressed flush, but it doesn't go all the way down. This is extremely critical. These are really difficult to put in and get it right to the factory alignment. So it's really critical that we try our best to get everything to fit as smoothly as possible and all the way in from the beginning. All right, so I put it in and it was catching just a little bit because I'm noticing there's a few nicks on here that I'm going to clean up later. And then I went another 5 thousandths, and now you see that this fits on fine. So what I'm going to do now is I now need to cut it in to the inside diameter of the seal. So I'm going to go to the extent of this so that when I put this, it's just going to fit right on, and essentially it's actually going to fit like this onto here, and then it's going to be pressed in like that. All right, next step. Okay, finishing things off, and I always want to put a little bit of a relief in here. So with this tool here, I'm able to put a little relief because I just don't want to have anything pressing on the seal in here at all. So I just want it on this outer rim. So that's what I've done here. So when this goes on, this inside is going to go in here, and it holds on real well, and then I'll be able to press it in. So that's it for this tool for the front hub. I think I mentioned right in here there seemed to be a little bit of roughness. So I'm just going to move this in just on the edge where I felt it. And this just takes off just a minuscule. I can feel when it gets smooth. So right now it feels pretty good. All right. So, whoops. I always have to think backwards when I have it like that. All right. So this is feeling pretty good. Okay. All right. So we're going to put the seal in. Okay, so let's see if we can get this thing together here. So again, we're going to put it in like this. I've kind of lubricated it up with a little oil here. And let's see what we do here. Obviously, I'm going to get in your way. Okay, let's just get a little final look here. Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay, so it is down inside there, and this is all the way right there. You can see that. All right, okay. I'm going to mark this tool and put it away. All right, so I'm sure everyone has probably seen this before, but essentially we're going to squeeze some grease. And you can kind of see how it's coming through. It didn't look like I did too much except just exert myself, but so you can see how the grease is coming through. I'm going to do one more of these little pushes, and that should be it. You really have to push hard on this. Like I say, it's a double ball, not much gaps in between, so you really need to use this. So I'm going to just immediately put this into a bag till I install it. It's getting a little bit grimy here. Let me get a cloth. Not grimy, but gooey. How about that? So we got this one last one to do. The outer. And it did pretty well. Once more. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to put it in a separate bag. Okay, greasing on that is done, but we need to pack this unit. We'll do that a little bit later. All right, so we're at the press here, and let's get the bearing out of the bag. So we're putting in the inner bearing first, and let me just wipe off the excess grease right here. I really don't want any grease on the outer edge here, because I need every little bit of space that I can get. So we'll just wipe off the excess in the background here. And I'm going to put it with the numbers up. Again, I'm going to try and do my best. Get this to sit decent. And then this is the tool I use to install the seal onto that collar ring, but it also works out for me that it has the correct diameter so that I can press this. And I'm not saying that this should be a difficult press to put in, but when is it ever easy? All right, I know I'm in your way. Let me see what I can do here. I think I'm gonna go down first and then get it going. And I'm gonna need to adjust this a bit. Okay, so let me do that a little bit this way and a little bit this way. And okay, and that's it. Okay, so we got that. We got this in place right now. And so now we're going to be doing the one that the nail biter is putting the collar on. So that's going to be the next step. Okay, so we've got it mounted in our vise. Actually, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to strap this table to a support on the floor. I'm thinking I'm going to have to do that. We'll find out if indeed it gets to that point, but I think it probably will. Okay, so we got to go a little bit. So let me just check on this. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this with a pin so I can see it better. I don't know if that's a better view or not, but I've made this mark here. I need to come up to there, so not too much, but I don't want to jinx myself. Okay, so okay. Sorry about the grunt there. Oops. No, I can handle this, no problem. Okay, so we can see that boy, it really looks really good. But perhaps if I can just do one more grunt on this thing. Now this is extremely easy this time. Let me tell you, this is a beautiful one. And it can all be in the prep. So I tell you what, I'll relax this thing and then we'll bring it up. I'll show you where the pin then will go in. Oh, I can't. Oh, here it is. Okay. So right here, I don't know if you can see it or not, but we're going to put the set screw in, and the set screw, which I marked here just with some pin, but that will go right in, lock it in. And so then we got the rear bearing all in, tightened up, ready. Whew, that was much easier, but take a lot of prep so to make it as easy as possible. So I'm going to put some grease on the walls in there. Now you don't need to jam grease per se so that it's really packed, because things get hot, they expand. But you just want to make sure everything is pretty much coated in here. You can see I'm putting in a fair amount. Now one thing you cannot forget, and that's this. This center collar has to go in, and I just want to get some grease down there to begin with before I put any more. And that is pretty packed. I'm not here to put grease in the center area. You know, you're going to put the spindle right through there. That's not necessary. This is necessary. Let's put the cap on this at the moment. Okay, so we can unwrap our bearing here. Now this bearing, this is just a very close fit. So this is not going to be some, you know, unbelievably tight bearing fit, not at all. It's just a very nice close fit. And I'm going to use this here just to push it down a bit. And when I put the spindle in again, I'm going to use this tool. So anyway, this is just, I just want to get a preliminary set in there. And then when we put the spindle in, then it's actually going to be fit a little bit more. There is going to be also some room for the grease to come out when I do the final fit up with the spindle. That actually just went in there really nice, just me printing it in. Let me check that again. Oh no. Ha ha ha. That was a little too easy, right? There, see? Now we're in. Okay. So now when I put the spindle in, I'm going to be using this tool. This area here gives it, I'm gripping on the inside. This was on the outside of the bearing that I want to do, but now we're going to be working on the inside here because that's where the spindle is going to be working on the inside. So we've got enough room for grease to make its way out if that's the case, because when we put the spindle up, we don't want to like pack this thing. We want some space so things can move. Okay, this is, I'll try and do this on film, but anyway, it's, so I'm getting this so this is not touching there, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to then put it inside here. It's going to get a little greasy. Okay. So with it like that, and let me put it down here for just a second here. Getting a little bit heavy. Now I'm going to put this piece on. And let's see if it'll all fit in. Let me see if I can do this. Oh boy, I think I'm a little bit shy. Okay, all right. Let's put a hold on this. Let me figure this out. Okay, so just fudging around, I was able to space it out a little bit. You can kind of see it like this. So we'll go ahead and do this press. I'm going to then, actually I'm going to move this a little bit over. Sorry about the jittery filming. This might be a little bit of a problem down there, but I don't think it's going to need to go down too far. And the presses should not be too heavy duty here. And just making sure I have things centered. You can hear a little of that air bubble pop. Okay, getting very close. Okay, Now this. Again, a little bit of a grease squeeze going on. That's it. That's it for now. Okay, so let's see. Just show you a little of this. You can see some grease coming up out of here, and it's all in. I will take this junk off. So anyway, I'll disassemble this and then we're good to go. All right, so we're gonna end this right now. I'm just gonna put on a little bit of this blue medium strength Loctite. And I'm not going to go overboard with it at all. Just a little bit on the threads. Just for insurance purposes. Definitely you don't want to forget this step, that's for sure. All right, so you can see it's almost flush there. So if indeed it's all grimy, like it will be when you take it apart, you might not see that right off. So please pay attention to cleaning things first, then disassembling. Well, I hope you got a little bit more out of this, and I will see you on the next one. Please like and subscribe.